All right, everyone, I'm again so happy that you joined me. So happy that you got this this live on this webinar today. I was going to do it live. I was going to do it in Oklahoma City at the church. For those of you that are in Oklahoma City or in that area, I was going to do it there. But the way the weather is working here in Oklahoma, it's not gonna. It wouldn't have been good to do that. I saw a lot of people canceling a lot of stuff, canceling events and church and different things like that. So I said, well, I know this is something I felt led to do today. And so I wanted to make sure that we can do it, which works out well because I see more people are on right now and people from other states and things like that were able to get on. And so again, I want to say thank you for taking your time. Time is the biggest investment. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Time is your biggest investment. So thank you for investing your time tonight for this moment. And I just have just to give you some backdrop, it's just so much that I have on the inside of me right now that I was like, I gotta get this stuff out. I gotta release this. It's a must. It's necessary. So I said, what can I do to just download and pour into people? It's January January 2nd. January the second day of 2019. And here's what I know, and everybody that's on this live or this webinar, you all know that January is a big year for everyone, about January 1st to about January 15th. And what happens is we start kind of going downhill after about January 15th. Sometimes I'll give it to February, but a lot of us don't even make it to February before we end up right back in the same cycle, going through the same stuff, doing the same thing, same mundane, mediocre life that we have always had. And so we want to break that cycle. I've heard it said this, and some of you heard me say this several times, but I've heard it said, actually Benjamin Franklin is one that has said it, that many people die at the age of 21, but they're not buried until the age of 75. Because literally, we live the same life over and over and over and over again. And so what I want to do is I want to help us all as we, and I say we, me and my wife, as we're on this journey to really take our life to a whole new place, a whole new stratosphere, if you will. I'm the type of person that says, I don't want to leave anyone behind. If anyone wants to come with us, I'm willing to share what I learned along the way and what, has been downloaded into me. I'm willing to share it with other people so that we all can, elevate and, as I say, shift from your now to your next. And we can all come into a place of understanding purpose, understanding identity, understanding who we are, and understanding what we have to offer to the world. Because I think that's very important that as we get into this, that everyone on this webinar knows that you have something big to offer to the world. And most of the time we are shortchanging ourselves. Most of the time we diminish the real potential that we have on the inside. We diminish that real ability that we have on the inside. The other piece of this that I said, I got to do something is because I realized that oftentimes from a church setting, and not even just a church setting, from let's say a seminar setting. Let's say you go to a seminar, you go to some type of conference or some type of training. Sometimes, the action steps are just not as clear. So I wanted to take a time because I know when I'm speaking on stage, whether that's in the ministry or marketplace stage, I oftentimes don't have time to sit back and say, let's slow down and let me show you some stuff that's working. Not just theory, but stuff that actually is working. It's working for me and my wife, and it's also working for people that are mentoring me that are even on a whole nother level than I'm on. And so I want to have that opportunity to share that with you. So I realize this, a lot of people are stuck. A lot of people are stuck trying to figure out how to get to that next level. How do I get to that next place? Oftentimes when I'm on stage, I'll talk about Mario Brothers. Many of you out there remember Mario Brothers, playing the video game on Nintendo. Mario Brothers. One thing about Mario Brothers, or all Nintendo actually, is Nintendo had a glitch, if y'all remember back in the day. And Nintendo would always, at least the one I had, would always freeze up. Right, it would always freeze up. So you'd be in the middle of playing, and you'd be doing your thing, you'll freeze up. And if you're on this webinar, you're old enough, you remember pulling out the cartridge and blowing it. You blow in the cartridge, and then stick it back in there because it had a glitch. And then you get it back going, you reset, you have to start over from the beginning, right? I remember playing Mario, and I remember I was just about to hit this level. I mean, I was about to hit the level, right? And I conquered the dragon at the end of the level, which is what you always had to do, conquer the dragon. And so if you remember Mario, you walk up the stairs, you jump off the stairs and catch the flag, or get on the flag, and you slide down the flagpole and go through the castle. Y'all remember that, right? So what happened was, as I finished and conquered this level, I jumped off the flagpole, because you can actually run fast enough, you can jump over it. I jumped over the stairs, getting ready to hit the flagpole, and all of a sudden, my game froze. So right when I was about to go to the next level, my game froze. So Mario is now stuck, suspended in air from the level that he was on, or the level I was on, and the next level. And here's what I realize now, is that that's a lot of our lives. We've conquered a level, but we're suspended in midair and don't know how to get to the next level. Well, here's what happened. A friend of mine in my neighborhood, because we all got gathered around and played the Nintendo like for hours. Friend of mine, he comes over, he says, I said, man, I'm stuck. This is terrible. You know, everybody's upset because we finally conquered the level. And he said, don't worry about it. I said, what do you mean? This is horrible. He said, listen, don't worry about it, man. I'm telling you, I got you. I said, what are you talking about? We're stuck. He said, don't worry. He opened up a magazine. I'm telling you, he turned the page, looked in the magazine, and he said, oh, here it is. He pulled out what they call cheat codes. So he was able to go in, put in the cheat codes, and the cheat code literally took me from the level I was on to the next level that I was trying to get to. Unbelievable. I never knew there were cheat codes until he pulled out the magazine and showed me the cheat codes. Here's what I'm telling you, that there are cheat codes for your life to get to the next level. And if you understand the right code, you'll get where you want to go. I love how Trevor Ott says it. Trevor Ott says that success is not a secret. Success is a formula. It's a code. It is knowing the right codes. Jim Rohn says it like this: success leaves clues. So if you know the formula, if you know the code, success is guaranteed for you. 2019 can be guaranteed to be the greatest year of your life. Not just because you're saying it, but because you know the codes to get you from being suspended between 2018 and 2019, being suspended in midair. I've conquered 2018, but for some reason, I haven't fully embraced what God wants to do for me in 2019. So today, I'm just gonna give what I believe are codes, they're cheat codes that help us get to the next level. My wife and I, we put these codes in place, if you will, and it literally, 2018, it was a tough year in some areas, but it was, I said this on the live earlier, it was such a strategic year in other areas that we were able to position ourselves for some amazing things. And I'm gonna show you how we did that and what we did. So I'm just gonna go through, again, I'm just gonna give you as much value as I can in the time that we have. And I see so many people, more people jumping on. Thank you for jumping on. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna share my screen, because I wanna just give you just this one element here. I only have one slide on my PowerPoint today, but I just want to show you something that I think will really bring some awareness. Because here's the thing. One of the things that we have, one of the problems that we have in our culture is really an identity crisis, okay? So we have an identity crisis, and we talk about that a lot, knowing who you are, finding your purpose, finding your destiny, finding who you are, all the stuff. As a matter of fact, I always like to tell people to answer 3 major questions. The 3 major questions are: who are you? Why are you here? And where are you going? Like, these are 3 major questions that you have to answer. I'm gonna say it again. It's who are you? Why are you here? And where are you going? These are vital, because if you don't answer the question of who you are, or who are you, you'll become anybody. You can take on any identity that doesn't belong to you. If you don't answer the question of where am I going, you'll go in. As a matter of fact, you'll end up anywhere. Okay, who am I? Why am I here? And then answer that question, why am I here? Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more. But I want to show you this. So I'm going to share my screen just so that I can show you, if we got it here. All right, so I can show you this here. Everybody should be able to see my screen at this point. All right, so, all right, boom. All right, so let me back up so you can see that. So this is what we're talking about. Ultimately, today is your passion, your plan, and your pursuit. What is your passion? What is your plan? And what is your pursuit? What is your passion for 2019? What thing are you passionate about seeing in 2019? And then we got to figure out, once I figure out the passion, I got to figure out the plan. What is the plan for 2019? And then what is the pursuit? Because listen, all of these things have to work together. We're talking about the code, the cheat codes, like the Mario Brothers game that gets you to the next level. This is a part of it. Passion, plan, pursuit. Sometimes we have passion, but we have no plan. And so you get burnt out real quick. If you have passion with no plan, you get burnt out real quick. And sometimes we have passion and a plan, but we have no pursuit. So there's no real action taken to get to that next place. And so all of these three P's, if you will, they have to be in place. They have to be present. They have to be there. Passion, plan, pursuit. Now, what I'm going to show you is what I call the identity wheel. So when we talk about how am I going to get to my purpose, how am I going to get to my destiny, how am I going to get to who am I? When we talk about these things, this identity wheel is vital. It's vital in you becoming clear on who you are and who you want to present to the world. This is going to be clear because when we talk again, next level, we're talking about a turnaround in 2019. These things you want to be clear on. You want to be clear. They're almost like culture codes. They're like values that these are the things I'm not going to bend on. So let's look at the culture or the identity circle. That's what we call the identity circle. So at the top, you have this. You have your message. Okay. Here's what's important about that. What is the message that you want to give people about your life, about who you are? What is the message? Everyone on this webinar should have a personal message. What this does for you is it gives identification to what you present to people. This is the message that every time, if you're a speaker, every time you're in front of a crowd, this is the message. If you are a communicator on any level, on your job, this is the message. In other words, when people say your name, they attach your name to this message, whatever that message is. What is your message? What is it that you say to people, watch this, without even saying it? Like people just know that's the message of your life. The next one is your mantra. What do you live by? What is the mantra of your life? For me, I always say my mantra is that everyone I come in contact with will come into full expression. Meaning, so I don't bend on that. So I meet people and my goal is to see what can I do to help you come into full expression. There are some people that are my mentors. They're the people I look up to and I serve them. I'll go to their events and serve them to help them come into full expression and help them become successful. Which I have another mantra now, which is I help you shift from your now to your next. So those two things are key. What is the mantra of your life? When you're 2019, you're coming into, it's time for another level. It's time to get out of that place of living the same life over and over again. What is the mantra of your life? Because now what are we doing? We're creating identity. We're identifying who we are. So what is the mantra? Down at the bottom of the circle is the method. Okay, so what is the method of your life? What methodology do you use so that you can get to the place that you want? Now, with the method, we may be talking about your daily routines, your habits that you have, your activity that you participate. What is the method that you're going to use to become successful? What is your method? So, I've talked to a lot of people who are massively successful and massive influencers. They do huge things. And here's what I found without question about everyone that is massively successful, without question, is that they have some type of method of their life. So it sometimes seems like it is predictable, but it's not so much predictable. It's just strategic. So they may get up at 4:30 in the morning and do whatever they do, that maybe do their prayer time, their meditation time, their goal time, whatever it is, they do it at 4:30 in the morning. And every single morning, this is the method that they use. This is the method that they operate. So you have to develop a method. What is the method that you're going to have throughout this year? What is your method? I was talking to a preacher, or heard a preacher the other day, I think it was Wednesday night, said 4:30 is his time every morning. I was listening to Tony Robbins. He has a method. Every morning he gets up, he jumps in the ice bath, and he does all these things because these are the things that they feel help them become successful. A lot of times, here's the issue that we have, is that we are just wandering all over with just generality and nothing specific in our life, nothing that we do to accomplish every day that gets us closer to the goal that we have. I'm telling you, this is what we need to do. We need to get closer to our goals, and you have to have a method to do that. The next one, when you go up the circle, is the model. Okay, the model is this. This is how I define the model. This is what I want people to be able to look at me and say, I want to model after that. What about you? What about you should people model after? So you become the prototype, if you will. You become the one that says that when people look at you, whether it's on your job, if you're a business, you're an entrepreneur, they look at you and they can model after that thing you do. They can model after. So there's people in my life that I've learned to model after. I model, not copy. I want you to hear me. Not copy, because I am my own person. You are your own person. Not copy, but someone I can model after. Okay? And so your message, what do you want to say? What do you want people to say about you? Or what do you want to say to your generation? Your mantra. What is the thing that you say when people say, who are you? This is my mantra. Or what do you do? This is my mantra. I shift people from the now to the next. You come in contact with me, you're going to come into full expression. That's the mantra. And then the method again is what you do on a daily basis. What's the formula of your life? And then the model. Now, I gave all this as a bonus because I'm going to dig a little bit. I'm going to dig into some other things, but I wanted to give you the identity circle because this is something that was given to me that I begin to use, and it really helps me to take my life and take everything I do to the next level. So you still should be able to see my screen here, and I am actually on the workbook now, the playbook. I don't like to call it a workbook, the playbook. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna dig right into some practical questions, some practical things that'll help you. This is about the personal development side of what you do. Personal development, you never rise above your personal development. Your income, Jim Rohn says, you never rise above your income never rises above your personal development. So personal development is huge. It is vital. Okay, so here's a couple of things, a couple of questions that I like to ask. Is what am I spending most of my time in? And I'm not going to read this verbatim. You can read it later. I'm just kind of flowing. But what do I spend the most of my time on? Where do I invest my time? You're investing your time today in this webinar, and I, again, appreciate it. But what do you spend the most of your time on? Because where you're spending your time is, listen, you can't get that time back. And we have, we're January 2nd now. Right? We're at January 2nd. The truth is, before you know it, we'll be at December of 2019. Before you'll blink your eyes, it almost seems like, and you're already there at December of 2019. So here is, again, the question: where are you spending your time? Where are you going to spend your time? Where are you going to invest your time? Right? What are you going to do? So your future is not coming. Your future is inside of you. That's what Dr. Miles Monroe said. I like to say it like this: your best days are not behind you. Your best days are not in front of you. Your best days are inside of you. Well, the reason I'm saying that is because the way you unlock those best days is how you invest your time. Charles Stanley said, time is the currency of life, right? So wherever I'm spending my time, guess what? That's where I just spent my life. And I can't get that time back. So here's what I encourage you all to really evaluate what you are watching on TV or what you're listening to, not as a condemnation, guilt type thing, or that's a sin, or you shouldn't listen to that. Don't put that in your ears. What more so I want you to look at is, where am I investing my time and what is that doing for me? What is that doing for me? I'm putting my time here. I invested, 3 hours in this reality show. What did that do for me? I invested, 8 hours binge watching on Netflix. What did that do for me? You know what I found out is that when people say I don't have time, it's not true. You always have time. The real answer is I don't want to prioritize that into my time. So if someone says I don't have time to create another stream of income, not true. You just haven't prioritized that. You just don't want to prioritize that because you always have time to do what it is you need to do. You just have to prioritize the time. Priorities, as a matter of fact, and this is a bonus, you can write this down. Priorities protect your time. So when you have right priorities in place, your priorities actually will protect your time. And so I'm encouraging you and really just want to push you to think about that. Think about the priorities of your life. Think about the priorities of your time so that, again, 2019, we can knock it out the park. So let's go into some practical stuff here. Right from our notebook, from our playbook here, the next playbook. And now we're going to get where you're going to participate. You're going to be a part of this. I don't want to just give you a bunch of information without you actually doing something. So number one is this. I want you to, the starting point is to identify your next. So make a list of your 10 most important goals. Now, you may not be able to do 10 right now, but at least write down 3 of your goals, 5 of your goals. If you have all 10 of your goals, write those down right now. Here's why this is important. The Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, so they that read it can run with it. You want to listen. If you don't have, and I got this on the next page, but I'm going to go into it. If you don't have your goals written down, you have to ask yourself this question: are they really goals? Is this really something that I really want to do? If it's just in my head. So what we want to do is take it out of our head and put it on paper. Okay, so 10 goals. And make these goals, and those I said most important to you. What are the 10 most important goals? So I want you to write that down. If you don't have the playbook, write it on some paper. Get it out, get it on paper so that you can start leaning into these goals. I've been talking about this word, lean in. So you can start leaning into these goals starting with January 2nd. Starting on January 2nd, you can lean into the goals. There are some goals that I've written down that I'm leaning into already. I started before January, leaning into those goals. So we want to make sure that we're leaning into goals. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my notes as well that I have here. So one of my goals is I'll talk about my financial goal. I'm pretty open on financial goals. One of my financial goals through my businesses that we're launching is $10,000 a month. Bottom, that's the floor I want to make. Now, I have a bigger goal than that. That's actually my small goal. That's actually my short-term goal. My long-term goals are quite a bit more, but my short-term goal is to get up to $10,000 a month through business profit. Okay, so I'm telling you that because I want you to be very specific on your goal. So in other words, when you're writing this goal down, don't be general. Generality is what keeps us stuck, right? This is part of that code to break you free. Get very specific on your goals. Now, you may have to come back later and get even more detailed. There's some I have written down, but I'm going to have to get more detailed on, right? But you want to be very specific on those goals. How are you going to reach those goals? We'll get to that in a minute, but what those goals are, okay? Get very specific. And then that number 2 part is going to be huge. Why are these goals important to you, okay? Why are these goals important to you? Let me tell you why this is important. And I love going through this stuff with you so that I can really explain it and we can get down into it. Why is this important? Your why is what really pushes you. Your why is what pushes you. That's the thing that makes the goal make sense, right? So I've always often heard of this. When I was in the nutrition business, and I'm still in the nutrition business, but as a lot of people used to say, that your why should make you cry. The reason that's important is what it's saying is that your why should become so emotional. There should be an emotional attachment to your why. So when I say I'm going to make $10,000 a month profit, why is that important to me? Why is that important? Well, one of the reasons is because I don't want my family, my children, to have to worry about money or finances. I want to make sure I don't want to have this financial peace. Financial peace is cool. I want financial freedom. I want complete freedom in my finances. Why? Why do you want these goals? Here's something that's so big that with that why, that what I like to tell people sometimes is that you may want to, if your why is your kids, you may want to take a picture of your kids and put them up somewhere, hang them up somewhere, and tell them the reason, talk to the picture. The reason I'm pursuing this goal is because I want your life to be whatever you want it to be, and you say whatever you want it to be. And you could that could be a routine or a method of your success. Why are these goals important to you? So again, we talk about write your goals, do it, write the vision, but then we got to get a little bit deeper here. We got to go. I want you to dig when you think about why they're important to you. This may be something that does bring some emotion out. It may bring some tears to you guys. It may bring some thoughts and some things that I want to do. Let me tell you this too about the why. I've heard this said too, and it's so valuable. Don't let your why become your why not. Let me say that again. This thing, I heard this, and man, it was so valuable. Don't make your why become your why not. This is what that means. That if you say, my kids are my why, then never come back and say the reason I didn't pursue is because I had to take my kids here, and I had to do this with my kids, and I had to do that with my kids, and I had to go here with my kids. Because you said they were your why, but now you're making them your why not. Why you couldn't do it, why you wouldn't go, why you didn't show up, why you didn't get there, why you didn't make it happen. So as you do this, and some of this, again, you may have to come back through this and get more detailed. I'm just going through it, and I'm just working through it with you a little bit here, and just kind of giving you the concepts of it so that you can begin to just go and run with it and lean into it. So why are these goals important to you? Okay, and again, if you have any questions, write them down. I'm going to open it up here in just a moment for any type of Q&A that you may have on any of this. Make sure there's a definiteness on your goals. Make sure your why makes it more important. Okay, so don't just say I want more money. Say how much money you want and when you want it. I just want to increase. I just want to raise. Say this is what I want. I want a raise. And I want that raise to be this much, and I want that raise to come on this date. Like, get that specific. By March 1st of 2019, I want to be hitting $10,000 a month. Get so specific, so detailed on that goal. Because what happens is when we get detailed, when we get specific on a goal, subconsciously, in our subconscious, something happens, something clicks within us subconsciously that makes us even want to pursue that thing at a greater level. Because what happens now is I've got dates now, I've got specific numbers now. And so now I start looking for ways to make that happen. I start putting the calculations down of how I can make that $10,000 a month happen. Extra income, right? That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm talking about. How do we make that happen? Okay. So here's something that, man, and I know I may get some questions on this. Here's what happens a lot of times is we begin to pursue our goal, and the pain of pursuit is what holds us back. So my third question for you today is, what is your greatest pain point? Because you can never go beyond your pain tolerance. Okay? What keeps coming up that stops you? What keeps coming up that's stopping you from getting to your next? So every time 2018 hit last year, and January of 2018, and you were in full pursuit, but some type of pain point keeps coming up that's stopping you from really reaching your greatness. I want you to really dig into that one. Think about that one. What is the pain point? What is the thing that just keeps coming up? Like I was in the gym this morning, and I was thinking about this because I put a little extra weight on the bar. Doing the bench press, I put a little extra weight on the bar because I want to see if I can just push up a little bit more. And this number 3 came up to me because as I was hitting the weights and I was going, I started feeling the pain in my arms. And it got to a point that I said, you know what, I'm going to quit right now. And as I quit, I said, that's it. This is what happens to most of us. Right when the pain sets in, we say, I don't think I can do this anymore. But the reality of it is that if you can push through the pain, then that's when you're going to see the gain. Know that rhyme? I didn't mean to rhyme, but that rhyme. If you push through the pain, that's when you start seeing the gains, the muscle, that you build the muscle right there if you push through the pain. So here's the question for you again. What is your greatest pain point? So you may say, okay, well, every time I'm getting ready to pursue something, I start feeling the pain of rejection because I start getting the no's, and people, I'm pursuing a business opportunity, I'm getting no's, and so that rejection comes up. That's the pain point then. Rejection is the pain point, which means that you're only going to go as far as you're accepted. But at the point when you get rejected, you're going to stop because rejection is your pain point. Are you with me? Maybe it's fear, certain fears that come up, and you go, and as long as everything is going as planned, you're good. But as soon as that one thing comes up, you fear being without. So maybe you're pursuing some type of financial thing, and then it looks like it's not going to happen. So you fear being without. So you just go settle for a job that you hate. When before you were on it, you were moving forward, you were going after it, you were going to get it, right? You were going, you full force until that pain point came up. And as soon as you start feeling the pain, you drew back, you withdrew, you went back to being suspended between the old level and the next level, right? And so this is what we have to do. Identify that pain point, because a lot of times what we never really have done is we never said, this is why that hurts. So rejection is the issue. This is why that hurts. Now let me deal with that, because I'm not going to get stuck there anymore. I'm not going to get stuck at a no anymore because I'm afraid of rejection. I'm not going to get stuck at what the critics say about me because I'm afraid of rejection. I'm not going to get stuck at being a people pleaser because I'm afraid of rejection. One of the worst things as a leader you can do is be afraid of rejection, because you'll never make the right decision. You'll never make decisions that progress the organization or that progress your life because you're stuck. Let me keep going. And again, I'm giving you the basics of all these. This is the how. This is the how we talked about on the live. You get the what, but this is the how. You write these pain points down, and you got to deal with those so that you can go to the next level. Here's the next thing. What is your biggest excuse? Excuses feed status quo and mediocrity. So what excuses have you been making? Now what we're doing now is we're identifying. We're identifying where you are, where you've been, where we've been. I'm doing the same thing. What has been my biggest excuse? I remember at one point in my life, my biggest excuse was that there was nobody there to help get me there. Now, I can talk about that because there is some important portions of relationships and connections, but my deal was, it's just, it ain't fair because everybody else has the hookup, but I ain't got the hookup. It was like the dude at the well when Jesus came and said, hey, why are you sitting here for 38 years? He said, because there was no one there to put me in the water when the water was stirred. When in reality, he could have, for 38 years, you could have dragged yourself up to that pool and at some point just fell on in after 38 years. But this is, again, it speaks to how a lot of our lives are. For 38 years, it's been the same thing. For 40 years, the same thing. And what I do is I watch everybody else go first, and I sit back and complain and say it's not fair. Everybody else is going first. Everybody else is getting the job promotions. Everybody else is getting the businesses going. Everybody else is getting the opportunities. Everybody else. So you have to identify what has been the excuse that has stopped me. What has been the excuse that has held me back? What is the biggest? Well, maybe for somebody on here is like, well, because I'm single. If I ever got married, then I would be able to reach my goals. That is absolutely wrong. Somebody may be is because I'm married and my spouse is not letting me reach my goals. None of those excuses can work anymore. I want you to get me. I want you to pick up what I'm putting down. Myra Golden says, pick up what I'm putting down. Your excuses have to be eliminated. Okay, so whatever that big excuse is, maybe it's 3 or 4 excuses that you have. Here's what I want you to do today. I want you to write them down, and we're going to start working on this process of eliminating those excuses. Okay, let me keep going here. Let me keep going. What is your greatest fear? What is the greatest fear that you have? Fear of failure, or do you fear success? Okay, here's one thing that I've realized, that for a lot of people, the fear of failure is not so much the issue, but it is the fear of success. Because if I really become massively successful, if we have the wrong idea, the wrong mindset, we'll say things like, I wonder if I'll still, if you're in church, you'll say, will I still serve God? I fear this success, because we heard that success pulls you away from God. We heard that, so we have these negative tones about success. I heard successful people are stuck up. Successful people are people with money are evil. People with wealth are bad people, whatever it is. And so we fear success. So what is your greatest fear? Now, your excuse is what you keep telling yourself. Your excuse, let me go back. Your excuse is a story you keep telling yourself. You keep telling yourself that same story. Change the storyline. Okay, hear me. You can write that down, because when you get that, change the storyline. You've been telling yourself the same story every single year. 2015, you had that same story. You told that same story in 2015 that you told in 2018. You told yourself the same story. And here's the problem. You started believing that story, because faith cometh by hearing. And so you kept telling yourself that same story. And so you started having faith in your own story. You started having faith in your own message that you've given yourself. Are you with me? Okay, listen. So here's what has to happen. Going back to the excuses, change the storyline. And then let's identify your fear. What is the greatest fear that you have? Are you fearing failure? Are you fearing success? Are you fearing what people will say if you launch out to a business, that they're going to call me crazy? If you launch that idea you have, they're going to call me crazy. If you launch that CD they're going to say you're not good enough. If you launch that book, are they going to say that you're not smart enough to write a book? My book actually today, we had an incredible thing. My publisher, I wrote a book several years ago. I think it's 2014. Lord, Teach Me How to Fish. And my publisher had all the rights to that book. Well, the publisher emailed me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to them at all in like years. And so the book was just kind of being sold when I could sell it. It was on Amazon, but nothing happening. But my publisher called, who had all the rights, and said, I want to give you all the rights back to your book and just let you have the rights to the book and do what you want to do with it from now on. So I just got a shipment of books in today, a whole box of books, a little over 100 books or something like that in the mail today. But I think about that, how, when I look at my high school, if you know my signature story, but if you don't know my signature story, is that, I found out my senior year of high school that I wasn't graduating. And it was like a shock. It was like, what in the world are you talking about? I've played all sports. I've done everything that I was supposed to do. I've taken senior pictures. I've done the whole deal. Senior skip day, everything. And about the, last week of school, I found out I wasn't graduating, right? And that moment, I felt like a failure. I felt like I couldn't accomplish anything. I thought I was going to be stuck doing just odd, end jobs, never been able to have any type of impact, until I realized or discovered the purpose that God has for my life. And I discovered that, all that's really irrelevant once you discover purpose. And so I wrote that book, Lord, Teach Me How to Fish. And when I wrote the book, I didn't know if I could be an author. I didn't know if I could write. All I knew is I had a GED at this point. And I didn't know that I could actually write a whole book and get signed to a publisher. But if I had stayed in a place of fearing failure and fearing or success, or fearing what people thought about me, fearing what people said about me, fearing what the society thought about me, if I had stayed in that place, I never would have wrote the book. Now I've actually written 3 books. I'm getting ready to publish another one here pretty soon, right? Because I got rid of those fears. Now there are other fears I'm working through. I'm writing number 5. I'm doing number 5 as well, because I know there's some other fears that I got to get past, because now I'm ready to go to the next level of my life. So whatever your fear is, write it down. I'm fearing public speaking. I fear having to talk to people about what I do. I have fear failure. Like I said, fear failure. I fear being massively successful, because no one's been successful in my life and in my family. And if I become successful, then they may look at me different. Whatever that is, I want you to write it down, because what we're going to do is we're going to get over that fear. We're going to conquer that fear. We're gonna face that fear head on, and we're gonna conquer it. So let's keep going, because I want to really open this up so you can type into questions, or I'll unmute the phone so we can hear your questions. Now, here's the next question. What is your passion? As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a whole series on passion. I just decided that today. I was praying. I'm going to do a whole series on passion because passion is important. Passion is what you do if no one will pay you. Because again, we're talking about now, how am I going to get to 2019 and make 2019 work for me? Passion is if no one pays you. Passion is what you do if you never get an audience. Like if no one ever knows that you do it, you're going to do it because it's your passion. Like for me, my passion now is speaking. I love to speak, whether it's preaching for ministry in church, or if it's speaking on a stage for marketplace, and I'm talking to businesses about leadership and shifting to their next, whatever it is, I absolutely love speaking to the point that I do it all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean all the time. I'm talking about when no one is around. If I'm walking around the church, I'm usually speaking. I'm doing some kind of talk. I'm doing some kind of message by myself because it is a passion. What is your passion? Because you have to discover your passion. Discover your passion, because this is what I want you to take into 2019. I want you to take this passion there. And I want you to go into it with some, because here's the thing. Once you become passionate, no one can stop you. Nothing can stop you. Once you become passionate about it, nothing can hold you back. You can get told no over and over again, but your passion keeps you coming. Your passion actually outweighs your pocket. I'm going to say that again because I want you to get that. Your passion outweighs your pocket. What does that mean? That means that, because a lot of our excuses, going back to excuses, are stuff like, well, I don't have the money to get started. But when you have passion, you don't worry about the money. You figure it out. Your passion figures it out for you. You just go for it, because you'll say, you may say I'm broke currently, because we change our language. We don't stay broke. I'm broke currently, or I don't have the money currently for it. I don't have the income currently for it, but your passion to figure out a way. I'm telling you, there are things that we have literally done in 2018 that our bank account said there was no way to do that. There's no way that this is going to happen. But our passion figured it out, because we were so passionate, we wouldn't quit. For those of you that are at Connection Church, if you were there part of the transition, we moved into the building literally pretty much with no money. We raised a little bit of money, but pretty much with no money. But the passion that I had on the inside of me to keep changing lives said, we're not going to quit. We're not going to give up. We're just going to go for it. And we're going to believe by faith that it's going to happen. And then it happened. Because once you follow your passion, a paycheck can follow you. I'm going to say it again. You follow your passion, paychecks will follow you, or paychecks will follow your passion. In other words, what I'm saying is, when you become so passionate about a thing, people will pay you for your passion. People will follow you for your passion. If you're in any type of business and you're trying to build a tribe or a network, people will gather around people that are passionate. Listen, so I'm even praying, even you're on this call or on this webinar right now, that your passion is restored. Whatever your passion is, whatever passion you've lost, that your passion will be restored. Because your passion will take you places. Your passion will take you places that you can only dream of. And I love it how one of my friends would say, your passion will take you places that you couldn't even dream of. So your passion is important. People will follow your passion. Okay, now here's number seven. Number seven, I'm almost done with these. What one thing frustrates you the most about the world? What is the one thing that frustrates you the most about the world? Because again, I'm not just trying to go into 2019 and just be average. I'm going into 2019 with this idea that I'm going to serve my generation. So oftentimes it's what frustrates you that you're called to. Okay, it's what I'm saying again, it's what frustrates you that you're called to. Leadership was one thing that frustrated me, because I saw so much happen in leadership, whether it's church leadership, whether it's supervisors on jobs who were just absolutely insane, whether it's CEOs or bosses or whatever it was. Leadership always frustrated me. So I realized I was called, or I am called, to leaders. I'm called to raise up leaders. I'm called to empower leaders. I'm called to lead, because that's one of the things. Seeing a leader out of position, or seeing a leader that's functioning outside of what leadership is, really frustrates me. That really frustrates me. So I'm called to leadership. What frustrates you? What is it that gets under your skin if you see it? If you watch the news, I don't watch the news, but if you watch the news and you see something and you say, you know what? I can't stand that happening. That right there, that thing right there is what bugs me. That may be the thing you're called to. It's a very strong possibility that you're called somewhere in that area. You're called to that thing. And so I want you to write that down. If you already know what it is, maybe you don't know what it is yet. But whatever it is, I want you to write it down. And because now we got to figure out, how do I solve that problem? What can I do to solve the problem of leadership? If leadership is frustrating me, what can I put in place? What can I do? So I go by, people know me out in the marketplace as a leadership strategist. So I'm going to come in and strategize and help you become a high capacity leader. Help you become a high capacity leader and increase your progress, your progress and your progress and your profits. I couldn't think of it. So I'm going to help you increase your progress and your profits by helping you become a high capacity leader. When you do that, you'll shift from your now to your next. That's what I'm taking to the marketplace. Okay, your productivity, progress, and your profits. Those three things. So I'm coming into the marketplace. I'm coming into your space, and I'm going to help you increase your productivity, your progress, and your profits by helping you become a high capacity leader. I'm going to increase the capacity of your leadership. That's what I do, because that's what frustrates me. What frustrates you about the world around you? Okay, so I'm going to keep going. We're almost done. We're almost through this thing. What is the thing that drives you? Drive is what gets you up in the morning, or it can keep you awake at night. All right? What drives you? Okay, so this is the thing. I want you to think about this. Think deep about this. So what frustrates you and what drives you may go hand in hand. What drives me is seeing other people progress. That is what drives me. That's what keeps me, that's the thing that keeps me going every Sunday to Connection Church. Because when I hear the stories of someone progressing, getting raises, getting healed. We had testimony of this Sunday of one of the young ladies at the church got healed from a massive, thing she had dealing with in her body. And she got healed from that. And so that's what drives me. That's what says, yes, I got to keep going. When I go into an organization and they say, when you came in here, you motivated our people and you got us going. You got us lit up. You got us on fire. That's what drives me. So that's the thing that makes me want to say, I got to get up and get moving in the morning. I got to get better. I got to keep increasing my capacity to do what I do. I got to keep learning. I got to keep getting around the right people in the right environment so that I can keep learning to become better. That's what drives me. Last night, when I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking about 2:30, I couldn't go back to sleep. Why? Because I was thinking about this moment. And this is what was driving me to come at about 2:30 in the morning, get on the computer, start researching, start looking at some thoughts and some things, because that's what drives me. What is it? You have to discover your drive. Discover the thing that drives you. Because you know what? Now, let me tell you something. The drive, if you don't capture it right, it can go into another direction. Your drive can go into a direction that you don't want to go, because we all have some kind of drive. And if we don't capture it, let me just say it this way, it can become a perverted drive. So you want to identify the thing that drives you into the positive of your life. I love it. Grant Cardone has a book that says, be obsessed or be average. Be obsessed or be average. Incredible book. In that book, he talks about how at one point in his life, he was a drug addict and he was obsessed with drugs. And so he couldn't get off of drugs. He even went to a treatment facility, and his treatment facility just was crazy, but he made up in his mind at one point that I'm not going back to drugs anymore. But what he learned to do is turn that same drive or that same obsession from an obsession to destroy his body to an obsession to have mad success, right? So here's what I'm telling you. Obsession is not bad, or it's the same as a drive. Your drive or obsession is not a bad thing. That's what can catapult your life. When we talk about those cheat codes, your obsession or your drive can be that thing that will literally pull you from that old level to that next level, get you out of the suspended stage, right? So what is it Hear me. What is it that drives you? Discover your drive and discover the thing that really pulls you into your next level. So I want you to write that down. Number 8, write it down. If you know what it is, then write it down. Your drive and your why could almost be the same. They can almost coincide. But sometimes your drive is even very, again, like I said, my drive, my why, I got my family, my kids. That's a part of my why. My why is, I want to be able to leave a legacy in the earth. I don't want to just exist. So I'm passionate about that. And so that's my why. But my drive is literally seeing other people succeed. As a martial arts instructor, some of you know that I'm a martial arts instructor, 5th degree black belt. One of the greatest moments of my life was seeing my students become black belts. Like that was the greatest moment of my life. I think every one of my black belts just brought tears to my eyes when I watched them. When I watched a young girl, Samantha, who came to me when she was 5 years old, very timid and very shy and very just wouldn't even make a noise or barely move until she became a black belt at about 16 years old. She became a black belt, and now she's off at Harvard or some school. I think Clemson is where she's at, I believe. And her sister Morgan's at Notre Dame, and they're thriving and they're doing incredible things, and they're teaching martial arts, and they're black belts, and they're winning tournaments. It's just like that thing just drives. That thing just motivates me. That is what pushes me. So I'm telling you that for is so you can figure out what is the drive. When I see people in my church and they begin to operate in their ministry, we got so many people, some that have launched businesses and wrote books and CDs and things like that are happening. That right there is what drives me. So that'll keep you going. Let me give you a couple of more. Two more. Okay, who are your biggest influences? Okay, I want you to evaluate who your biggest influences are. Who's speaking into your life? This could be directly or indirectly, meaning that it could be through books, it could be through YouTube videos, webinars, it could be direct contact, or it could be indirect contact. But evaluate who your influences, because some people that are influencing you, that influenced you in 2018, those people were the ones that kept you stuck because they were your biggest influences. So who's your biggest influence? I want you to write them down. And when you write those influences down and evaluate them, I want you to ask yourself, what does this person do for me? This is my biggest influences. What do they do for me? This year, I was blessed to come into contact with some amazing people. And so I had to change some of my influences. Some people I had to say, okay, that person's not influencing me to be better, to go that. As a matter of fact, when I talk to that person, most of the conversation is negative. And that's becoming an influence. And so I'm starting to look at my life and look at my situations and look at things as negative. There were some pastors that every time I talked to them about church, it was negative. And so I found myself being negative about church and about pastor and about leading people. And so I had to change that influence. So I was intentional. And let me be just transparent. Some of my influences I had to connect through investment, meaning I had to go somewhere, I had to fly to Florida and make an investment in a program. And I connected with Andy Enriquez, who is one of the top speakers in the nation. I had to drive to Houston. My wife and I drove to Houston and connected with Jonathan Sprinkles, who is another one of the top speakers in the speaker industry. We connected with Myron Golden, who is a wealth strategist who helps people become wealthy. And we invested to make the connection. And let me tell you something about that, why that's so important, because sometimes we want everything for free. And the reality is, I'll tell you something, the reality of it is that oftentimes you don't value what you don't invest in. You don't value what you don't invest in. You don't complete what you don't invest in. So we've had to go and literally fly places. Do things and to go make major connections, because I recognize I need some different influencers in my life, because I don't want to get stuck, suspended. I'm going to keep using that, suspended in midair from one level to the next level. Not anymore. So who are your influences? Who are the influences in your life that either you need to get away from or you need to bring into your life? Who are those influences? Here's something I would tell you that to do. Write down 5 people that you have not met, but you would like to meet. 5 people that you have not met, but these are the people that you would like to meet. In other words, what I'm saying, you would like for these people to somehow be in your life as a influencer. Maybe it's somebody you look up to. Somebody may write Oprah. I love Oprah. What she does, I don't know. I don't know who it is. Somebody might write Barack Obama. You may write that. Whatever it is, whoever it is, Michelle Obama, whoever it is. You say these are the 5 people I want to at least meet, because these are influencers. These are people that I want to influence my life. So I know last year I wrote down. I know I had Les Brown as one, and I came right on the brink of speaking on stage with Les Brown. The only thing right the last week they canceled the event. I was like, oh man, they canceled the event. And so I didn't get that opportunity. But again, I met Andy Enriquez, who is Les Brown's #1 student. Him and Les Brown are good friends. Les Brown trained him. So now I'm being trained as in the speaker world from Andy Enriquez. I wanted to meet Grant Cardone. That was on my list. Well, I didn't meet Grant Cardone, but I did meet Joshua Fierstein, who is one of the marketing geniuses behind Grant Cardone's brand. He's helped Grant Cardone push his brand and help Grant Cardone. So I made that connection just a few months ago, as a matter of fact. So what I'm saying is, just by having these specific names down, you never know. You may either meet them or get right close to them, right close to meeting them. So I want you to write down 5 people that this year, if you're in music, I know we got some people on here that are you're in the music world. Well, who are the 5 influencers that you would love to meet that are in the music world that you would love to meet? Some on here are preachers. Who are the 5 preachers that you would like to meet that could influence you and take your preaching to the next level? Some on here may be poets. I don't know. Whatever you do, and you want to meet these 5 people. If I can meet these 5 people, I believe that my life could go to another level. So, because I do believe in connections. Now, I know I talked about earlier that you have to disconnect and those things like that. But I do believe in connections. Jonathan Sprinkles taught us this, that for every relationship, for every goal that you have, there's a relationship that can get you there quicker. For every goal you have, there's a relationship that can get you there quicker. And so, being intentional about building relationships is very important. Through the relationships that I've built, I've been able to do things that I just blow my mind in 2018. And I'm just telling you, not to impress you, but to impress upon you the importance of this. Being on a speaker tour, self-discovery speaker tour, being able to be on major radio broadcasts, nationally and internationally syndicated radio broadcasts, being able to do teleconferences for national people. He actually step in for Andy Enriquez and do the Show Up for Your Life teleconference, which is amazing, big deal. And so just from being intentional. So that's why I'm telling you that, so that you can be intentional, so that you can reach some goals that you want to reach. And here is the last one. I think, the last one that we're going to look at is this. Who's in your inner circle? Okay, this can help you determine what's next or why you're stuck in the now. Who's in your inner circle? There's nothing wrong with having to change your inner circle. So for me, again, and just using my life as an example, because I'm ready to move into another speaker bracket. So I'm a preacher, and that's what I do by heart. I love to preach. But one of my goals is to begin to take my marketplace business to the next level, to go speak as a leadership strategist on stages in corporations, to go to Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies. So what I had to do is change my inner circle. In order to do that, I can't just know people who only preach at revivals. Nothing wrong with preaching at revivals. I do a bunch of them. But that can't be my inner circle, right? So again, I had to make some different connections. I had to bring other people into my inner circle that are doing what I want to do. You may have heard the statement that you are an average of the 5 people you hang around the most. So if you hang around 5 people that are absolutely broke, you're probably number 6. I'm just saying. Okay. So what I begin to recognize is I gotta find another inner circle. That's not saying anybody else has been bad people or anything like that. It's just simply saying that for the goal that I have for 2019, my inner circle has to be very strategic. I have to hang around people that are talking about speaking at the next level, that are talking about how they spoke at Coca-Cola, or how they spoke at Verizon last week, or how they spoke at AT&T last week, or how they spoke at the wherever Dome or whatever, and how they were able to speak to major CEOs and major corporations and things like that. Why? Because that's the next level for me. And so for me, in order for me to get there, my inner circle has to match where I'm going. I want you to get that. So who's in your inner circle now? And just like you wrote the 5 people you want to meet, you may want to write 5 people that you need in your inner circle. And maybe even 5 types of people. Or let me say this, you may say I need to write one type of person. This type of people, or this type of person, should I say, this type of person needs to be in my inner circle. Because 2019, I'm increasing my income to whatever you're going to increase it to. And so I need these type of people in my inner circle. I don't need people who are talking about I'm broke as a joke and don't know what I'm going to do and all that stuff. I need a different conversation in my inner circle. Because remember, your inner circle is who you talk to the most. These are the people that you're around. These are the people that are kind of getting a little bit more into your intimate life. They're getting to know you a little bit more. So who's in your inner circle? So that you now, again, I can evaluate that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to match, I want you to hear me, I'm going to match my inner circle with my goal, with those 10 goals I wrote. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to match the inner circle to those goals. I'm going to cause those goals in the inner circle to look the same, if you will. So I need people. Let's see, one of my goals here. Let me look at one of my goals here. Okay. One of my goals, I talk about my church goals. One of my goals for the church that I have here is 200 new people showing up at Connection Church. I've had that goal for a few years, the last 2 years, I believe, but I'm going to hit it in 2019. Here's why. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be very intentional about finding myself around people that have 200 or more people in their church. Not that anything's wrong with anything less than that. I'm not saying it. What I'm saying is my inner circle has to be having that kind of conversation so that we can advance and go to that next level. That's what I'm saying. So I gotta change some things, adjust some things so that I'm having conversations. I think in April, I'm going to go hang out with a group out in April in Atlanta, and hang out with a pastor there whose church is just thriving and they're booming. So I'm going to go to an event and hang out there because I want to hear a different conversation. I want to hear that conversation so that I can begin to see that and it gets deep into my subconscious now, because I am the average of 5 people I hang around the most, right? So it gets deeper into my subconscious. It becomes more of who I am. So what do you want to do? You want a career advance. Listen, you got to find different people to hang around. You got to hang around people. Your people in your inner circle have to be talking about career advances. Stop hanging around people that are talking about how they hate their job. Find people that get an inner circle that's talking about how to progress in their job, how to progress in their career. Not people that hate Monday mornings. I can't hang around you if you hate Monday mornings. Okay, I got to find the people that are progressing, that are ready to make things happen. Okay, so that's number 10. All right, now, here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to read all that. You can read that later. What I want you to do is, if you do have, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to a regular screen here. So I was going to go an hour. So we're like an hour and 10 minutes. But actually, it's still an hour because we didn't start till 17. So what I want to do is, if you have any questions, let's see, how can we do this? If you have any questions, I'm going to type it in the comments, or just say I have a question in the comments and I'll unmute you. That way we won't hear a lot of noise if I unmute everybody. So anybody have any questions about anything I said? Anything maybe I didn't say you have a question about? And this is about purpose, destiny, life. I'm not taking theological questions tonight. We'll do that on another night. That's a whole nother thing. So anybody, questions, career, purpose, passion, entrepreneurship, branding. I can answer, whatever question. Let's go. Let's see. If you have a question, just type it in the comments. Say, I got a question, and I will unmute you. Anybody. Before we go, you can ask your question. Get a few more moments. Maybe you're not clear on one of those points. So somebody raised their hand. We got a hand raised. Calvin raised his hand. Hey, Calvin, what's going on? What you got, sir?
Hey, good evening, Pastor. How are you?
Man, unbelievable, man. Yes, sir.
Hey, if you have, just say multiple passions, what is a way to prioritize those passions and organize them? Let's say you have a couple of 2 to 3 things that you're really passionate about.
Awesome, man. That is an unbelievable question. That's a great question because, like for like me, and I'm sure a lot of people on here, I preach. I somewhat play the keyboard, a little bit. I I love leading worship. Just so many different things going on, and so I had this problem a while back as not really knowing who or what I should be identified as because I had so many, as Calvin said, so many passions. And so I was talking to Jonathan Sprinkles about this. So I actually asked him this question. I said, man, I got this going on and that going on and this going on. And he said, we were actually on a coaching call. And he said, man, I Googled you and I don't really know who you are. And it like hurt me a little bit. It's like, because, martial arts and all these different things going on. And so when I Googled your name at that time, it seems like it's just so many different people. So we got to be able to bring this into one thing. We got to be able to bring this into one identity that maybe branches out into many things, but there's one thing that people know you as. So here's the first question that I would ask you is, what is dominant? What is the dominant thing in this, use the lack of a better term, in this season of your life? What is the dominant thing? Because at one point in my life, martial arts was dominant. That was the dominant thing for my life. Like, especially all through my high school and in first part of my 20s, martial arts was dominant. Tournaments, training, doing that thing, it was a dominant thing for me, and I was good at it. Okay. Then that kind of shifted, and it started being more so leading worship, music. That became dominant. Okay. And then now this season of my life, it is speaking. That's the dominant thing. So what I've done is I've taken all of those elements that I have, martial arts, music, speaking, all those things that I'm passionate about, and I brought them into one conversation, and that's leadership. So everything that I do is going to lead back to leadership. So if it's music, ultimately, if I have to do anything with music, somehow it's going to lead back to leadership and developing people. If I have to do martial arts, somehow I may teach a whole self-defense class. Somehow we're going to come back to leadership strategies. I'm helping you shift from your now to your next. I'm helping you learn self-defense, and you're going to go from your now to your next. That's what it's somehow going to do. So I'm going to come into one specific identity. But what it has, one of the coaches that's a friend of mine, Coach Michelle, she says that you have an umbrella and you learn how to bring these different parts of the umbrella down. So when I need these parts, I can bring them down, but it's just one umbrella. But other things come under that umbrella. And if I can make other things come from under that umbrella, it's not multiple umbrellas, it's just one umbrella. That one thing. So the question that I would ask you is, what is that one thing that you want to be known for? Okay, what is that one thing that when I say Calvin Sykes, this is the one thing that I'm known for? But that's not all to Calvin Sykes. There's an umbrella. This is what you know me as, but here's the umbrella. So once you find that, you can also find it. So once you find my leadership talent or my leadership strategist ability or my passion for leadership, let me say it that way. Once you find that, guess what you're going to find now? You're going to find that I play. You're going to find that I can fight, martial artist. You're going to find that I can lead worship if I need to. You're going to find all those elements under that one umbrella. Did that help you out?
Most definitely. Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. Who else? Anybody else have a question? Anybody else have a question? Ciante, I'll hook you up. I got you. Anybody else have a question on here? Okay, no. Again, maybe there's something through this workbook that we went through, this playbook that we went through, that you're saying, I need some clarity. I need some more explanation on that particular thing. Give it a few more moments, few more minutes, see what we got, and then we will let you all go start dominating 2019. That's the next step. You go out and you start dominating. Like, you take these things, take your goals, and I want you to dominate those goals. Oh, okay. All right. Janelle has a question. What is your question, Miss Janelle?
Hey, I was listening in the beginning of the webinar when you were talking about, oh, I have to remember, you said something about like you're saying something without saying it, basically. When you were
Yes.
doing, yeah, can you like expound on that and like how do we is that a part of our brand basically? Like do we yeah, like if you can expound on that a little bit more.
Great question. So we talked about the message, your message that you can actually say something without saying something. So your very presence and posture can speak of who you are and what you do. And so she mentioned the word brand. Now, when we hear the word brand, in most cases, we only think of business, your business brand, your, whatever. We think of that. But here's the truth. Everyone has a personal brand. You have a personal brand. And that's really the message that you present to people, your personal brand. It could be in how you carry yourself. That's your personal brand. It could be how you position yourself when you come into certain places. That's your personal brand. There are some people that when they walk in the door, I know that they're leaders. I know that they can take leadership just because of their posture, just because of the way they carry themselves, because of the conversation that they do have, that you see them and you say, that's a leader. They're gonna come in and they're gonna take charge or whatever it is that they're a leader. There are certain times you can walk in a room and you can identify the people who are running the place because of how they posture themselves. So again, the message you're presenting. And again, I went into leadership. That's my passion. I went to leadership, but that could be with anything. That could be with anything at all. Your personal, what is your personal brand? If that's something that I would encourage you to discover. And when we talk about your message, we're talking about your personal brand. As a matter of fact, that wheel that we put up is called, I call it the identity circle. A lot of people call that same wheel the branding circle. So you're figuring out that personal brand that you're going to present to the world so that when people see you maybe on social media, they see that's what they know. That's the brand that they have. Or that's the person, and that's the message you're giving on social media. You're giving an authentic message, not a made up thing, an authentic message. So again, I think it's just to narrow the question down, or my answer down of the question, is that it's a posture that you present. When I say it without saying it, or a message without saying anything, it's the posture you present when you walk into a room that gives the message a kind of who you are, and that you're probably somebody of value, maybe somebody I need to know. Because when I walk in a room, that's really what I want to happen. If I go to a networking event, this is what I'm working on. That when I walk into a networking event, people say, I got to meet him. I got to meet that person right there, because there's something about how they walk into the room. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there. Awesome. I couldn't unmute you, but awesome. Is there anybody else? Come on. Any other questions? I love answering questions. Is there anybody else that wants to jump in and answer or ask any questions? Again, I'm an open book right now. This stuff that I've got from a lot of people. Layla has her hand up. All right, let me see here if I can unmute you. Okay, there we go. Layla, what's going on? Good to have you on. What you got?
Well, I mean, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit with passion, which I've heard, it's kind of one of those things that you hear all the time. Passion is going to be, something that you could do, like you said, without getting paid. If nobody ever recognized you or you never got accolades, you do it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you kind of give a little bit more as to how to really know or pinpoint? Because what passion is, because Brother Calvin brought up something that was really good, and I kind of find myself kind of dealing with like, okay, well, there are a lot of different things that I could call or say that I'm passionate about. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I know, it's kind of centering that one thing, but I don't know, passion is just kind of elusive for me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What is, I'm gonna ask you this question. What is dominant? The same thing I said when Calvin asked the question, I'm gonna ask you the question, what is dominant? What do you feel like is dominant for you right now?
Honestly, I don't know. I used to say it was music, but it seems like it's shifted over the course of the last couple of years. So I can't really, it used to be, I could say without a doubt, emphatically, it was music, but now it seems to be shifting, and I'm not really sure if that's what it is or not.
Right. So like I said, sometimes your passion does shift. I had a passion for music, not so much anymore. Like I had a passion where I would practice keyboard for hours. Now, I don't know when the last time I practiced. Like literally, I don't know when I practiced last time. So now what you want to do, okay, with the season of your life that you're in now, what is it? What's drawing you? What kind of is pulling you? What is the thing? Because this is how I'm discovering my passion. Is what is pulling me now? Because here's the truth. Passion has a pull. So there's something, and sometimes it takes a little bit to identify this. You may not be able to identify it on this webinar, but passion has this pull that draws you, and like you can't deny it. You know, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do a whole series on passion starting this month, January, at the church. And one of the things that I'm talking about is Jeremiah. And you'll hear this preached again. Jeremiah, when he tried to quit preaching, and then he said, "Hey, man, it's like fire shut up in my bones. I can't quit. I got to keep going." That was passion. Passion is when you try to quit, you just get back and you like, I can't quit. I got to keep moving. I got to keep pushing. So again, it may take you a little bit of time to fully discover that. But as you really begin to lean into, okay, I'm ready to know I'm ready to know exactly for 2019, especially what am I passionate about? What do I need to lean into? And it will be, I think, just like Jeremiah said, it'll be just like that. It's like fire shut up in your bones. It'll start arresting you. It'll start making you sleepless because it's pulling you. It's going back to the word drive. It's driving you. That's the thing you gotta do, and you can't stop doing it. So that becomes the passion. So hope that answered your question, man. Yeah,
yes, sir. That helps. That does help. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I know Jalecia has a question. Let me find Jalecia here. Jalecia, what's going on? What you got?
Hey.
Hey.
So I had a question about what about people that are partnering together? Like Ciante and I, of course, we have kind of the same kind of passion as well, but we also have like our differences too when it comes to fears, passions, different things as well. So what about like when you're merging the two, like and bringing it into one whole deal?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's great about that is that you can have, number one, let me back up and say this. This is something that everybody needs to really think about, is that partnership is really, this is like we are in, as Myron Golden says, we are in the age of partnership. Like people, businesses are partnering, companies are partnering, emerging, things are happening. We are in the age of partnership. People are finding ways to bring their giftings and their talents together in order to go to that next level. So there are some things that people that I'm partnering with. I'm partnering with a wealth master, what he called it, out of South Africa. And we're going to partner on some things. The partnership is awesome. Here's what's great about it, is that you get to have your strengths and your weaknesses and combine them. And where one person is weak, you can be strong. And where one person is strong, that's maybe a weakness. So you can spend time focusing on your strengths while the other person focuses on what they're strong. And then you bring that or merge that together and you become a powerful force without losing your personal identity. So even with that, you hold on to your personal brand, your personal identity, your personal message. And what happens is you can bring, Jalecia bring your personal message, Ciante bring your personal message, and combine them together. So now we have a big message, because we all get to bring our personal messages together, and we have this big message now that we now can launch or release into the world. And so that it's really an amazing thing when you can find. Here's the thing about partnership that you have to have. You have to have, and I think you and Ciante, Jalecia, and Ciante, you'll have this, but you have to have chemistry, you have to have character, and you have to have competence. These are the 3 C's of partnership. Chemistry is one of the most important. Like chemistry is huge, because if you don't have chemistry, it ain't gonna work. Chemistry, competence. So can you do what you say you can do in that partnership? So can your gift that you say you're gonna bring to the table, can it accomplish what that partnership needs? The competence piece. And then the character piece is, we're partners, are you gonna do what you said you're gonna do? That's how partnership's gonna work. That's how, and I know this firsthand, partnerships fail because of the lack of chemistry, the lack of competence, and the lack of character. When those three are not in place. As a matter of fact, if one of those is missing, then that partnership is gonna suffer. If one of them is missing. All three of those have to be in place if you're gonna partner. So anybody on this webinar, that's huge for you. Because again, if we're in an age of partnership, and I believe that because partnerships actually are what's advancing now, but that's what's moving, that's what's shaking the nation right now. Partnership, I'm telling you. So if I'm going to partner with someone that's going in that, has the same values that I have some of the same desires that I have in order what we want to see accomplished, I want chemistry, I want competence, I want character in that partnership. If those three are not there, we probably can't partner. And so when those three are present, guess what? Jalecia can have Jalecia's brand and be who you are. Ciante can have her brand and be who you are. And then again, you bring those together and you have an explosion. That's amazing. So cool. I hope that answered some of your questions, man.
It did.
Awesome. Who else? Anybody else? Just a few more questions. We'll take a few more questions. We're almost on an hour and a half on this call. I love it. I'm so glad you all joined. Who else has a question? We have a question here. When do you know when it's time to prepare for or pursue the next? Oh, man, that's a great question. Embassy. All right. When do you know when it's time to prepare for or pursue the next? Okay, so this is a good question. Let's say you're in a position that's been working, something's been going, and something's been moving. When that thing, first of all, because I'm going to talk about when it's time to shift. Okay, first thing, when it's time to shift. When that thing no longer serves you anymore. This is when it's time to make a move. If it no longer serves you, that could mean it no longer serves you, whatever that means. See, I'm not going to get too deep into that. But I will say, whatever, when it's no longer serving you, it's no longer building you up, it's no longer progressing your life, it's no longer working for you. You're just doing it. It's just kind of a cycle now, and you're doing it just because it's just what you do, right? It's no longer serving you. That may mean it's time for a next. It's time for you. It's time for you to shift. Here's what can't think of his name. Tom. His name is Tom. Pastor Tom from the City Rescue Mission. I was talking to him about some very uncomfortable moments in my life that I was going through at the time, just a couple of years ago. And I was like, man, I don't understand what's happening. And he told me the story about the eagle and how the eagle pads, and I'll be real quick, pads the nest with cotton and with grass and with everything to make it so comfortable for the eaglet that they can just sit in the nest and just be comfortable. And then he said what happens is when it's time for them to fly, the mother eagle will come in and start pulling out the cotton and pulling out the grass because she made the nest with thorns. And so as the eagle, the mother eagle begins to pull out all that stuff, the thorns start poking at the eaglet. And when the thorns start poking at the eaglet, it makes the eaglet so uncomfortable that the next thing they're gonna do is jump out of the nest and begin to fly. And so sometimes that's what begins to happen. You become so uncomfortable in the place that you're in because your comfort zone will destroy your purpose. So you become so uncomfortable that now it's like, oh, I don't like these thorns, but that's your time to fly. That's your time to jump out of the nest and go to the next. That's the moment that you're looking for. So that's that. And so as far as timing, let me talk about timing. There is never a right time. When you know it, when you know that the eaglet, when you know that the thorns are now out, you can't wait. Let me wait 6 months from now. Let me wait 10 months from now. No. There's never a right time. I'm telling you, if you always wait for the perfect time to make a move, you will never make the move. If you wait for the right money, you're never going. If you're waiting for the right people to come, you are never going. So I just encourage you, again, that the eagle thing, think about that. And then if you know that you're in a place that no longer serves you, it's time. Like that's the key, that it's time. It's just go. Like don't you don't want to wait. Sometimes I got to have everything together. I got to have all my T's crossed and my I's dotted. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going to hit the next. So that becomes very key. So I hope that answers your question there. Couple of more questions. I see Miss Jennifer has a question. Got your hand up. What's going on, Miss Jennifer?
Hey, Pastor, I miss y'all.
Miss you.
I have a question. My question is, how do you bypass the reality of your life to create a new reality? What ways can you do that? Because the reality is, there is a fear, but it's hard to pinpoint that fear. But how do you bypass the reality that there is a fear to create a new reality?
Great question. That's a great question. My top thing I'm going to give you on that is exposure. Like if I'm stuck in a certain reality, most of the time it's because I haven't been exposed to what's next or exposed to something greater. So exposure expands experience. Somebody write that down. It's one of my favorite quotes that I quote. Exposure expands experience. And so whenever I have this certain type of thing, it seems like it's happening and I can't quite get out of it, and maybe there's a fear of getting out of it, a lot of times it's simply because I need some type of exposure. So in my personal life, when I know I'm in my reality looks like this. Let me talk, and again, I like to be transparent in these webinars. I went through a financial reality that was ugly. I didn't like it. And we're pulling out of that thing even in this moment. What did I have to do to change that reality? I had to get some different exposure. I had to get exposed to a different kind of income, a different kind of thing, a different kind of mindset concerning money, because exposure expands experience. So sometimes the realities of our life are only those realities because we haven't been exposed to something greater. So I hope that answers your question there.
Yes, thank you, Pastor. That was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions before we go? I see Jaleesa say Eagles are so dope. Yes, Eagles are off the chain. Any more questions? You can raise your hand or you can put in the comments. I have a question before we go. Anybody else? These are great questions, by the way. Great questions. Bringing a lot of insight. Keisha Kemp, you got any questions? I see you on here. You still on here? Got any questions? Kelly, you got any questions? Ciante. I'm gonna give 2 more minutes, and we're gonna be done. 2 more minutes to see if anybody has any questions. And then we're gonna be out of here. Okay, Jaleesa says I have another one, kinda. All right, another kinda question. Let's go, Jaleesa. What you got?
So it's kind of going back to when you were saying when it doesn't serve you, but how do you know the difference of it not serving you and you just never worked it in the first place? So it doesn't seem like it's not serving you because it's not working out, but you never really worked it, if that makes sense. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes, absolutely. Here's one of the things that you want to evaluate also is, number one, have you said, so you haven't worked it. Number one is, what can I do? What responsibility can I take to get this thing moving for me? So if I need to lean into it a little bit more, if I need to do something else to make it, to pull out of it what I want to pull out of it, so that it begins to serve me. Another question I ask is, what do I really want out of this? Like, so this is what's happening. What do I want out of this? And then I ask the question, can I get it? When I evaluate this whole thing, this is what I desire. Can I really get it out of this situation? Number one, again, is there something I can take responsibility on that maybe can get this thing working for me? Okay. Second thing is, because I really, honestly, haven't really put everything into it. So if I put more into it, can I get it working? Second thing is, what do I want from it? Third thing is, can this thing give it to me? If not, it's not going to serve you.
Okay. That makes sense.
All right. I've had those situations in my life where I've had to look at a situation and how it, and the totality of it, and say, is this thing serving me? I know that, I think a couple of years ago, last year maybe or so, or year before, I don't know, but there was things that we're involved in, and I called Myron up, again, our mentor, and I called him and said, hey, I just need some advice on this. And that was the advice that he gave me. He said, listen, if that thing is not serving you and that thing is not producing what you needed to produce, then you need to eliminate it out of your life. Because if not, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to keep digging yourself in a deeper hole, and you keep going to the same thing and the same thing because it's not serving you. It's not pulling anything out of you, or you're not able, and you don't even have a desire to really put anything into it. So it no longer serves you. So that's huge. That's a big deal. Good stuff. So any more questions in 10 seconds? If I get another question in 10 seconds, I'll answer that question. Anybody else got anything in 10, 9, 10 seconds? Anybody else? Well, if I don't see any other hands up here, awesome. Listen, I thank y'all so much for taking your time to be on this webinar today. And I'm actually kind of excited and glad that we did it this way, because we were able to get more people involved, more people were able to come and get and everything. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for being a part of this, investing your time, investing your energy, investing your internet service, whatever it is, investing that in this day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are some incredible things that we're going to be launching in 2019 from a personal level, and from our Go Next brand, the Go Next global brand. We are launching some incredible product, incredible opportunities, incredible training, incredible things that you don't want to miss. So keep your eye open to be a part of that. The stuff we're going to launch out to the nation. And I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped about your success. As Tony Miller told me one time, he said, your success is my honor. I say that to you today. Your success is my honor. And so I am pumped about seeing what's going to happen for you in 2019. And I hope that this hour and a half was something that can catapult you, or help catapult you into your year, into what is going to happen. I just hope that you experience the greatest days of your life and the greatest year of your life. Hey, listen, here's what would be awesome. Again, I didn't, I just wanted to serve you. I didn't want anything. Here's what would be awesome. If any of you just even want to write just a little testimony, a little comment, a little thing on, you can go to my Facebook page and just write something that you got from this webinar. Just let the nation, let the world know something you got from this webinar, something that maybe shifted you from your now and you've got you ready to go right into your next and for this year. And if you want to, if you can do it, if you have some time, just maybe a sentence, a paragraph or something. No, not a paragraph, maybe a sentence or something, just letting the world know what you got out of this moment and this time that we spent together. That would be so incredible and so awesome to me. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go out there tonight and start dominating 2019. And remember this, I can't end without it. Your best days are not behind you. As a matter of fact, your best days are not even in front of you. Here's the reality. Your best days are inside of you. Hey, y'all, go out and unlock those best days. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. We'll see you soon.